I think we already discovered this evening at least, this is not, the BDS is not the Palestinian leadership. It doesn't claim to be the Palestinian leadership, and the Palestinian issue of representation is definitely an issue that has to be solved. The BDS is not going to solve that. The BDS is an attempt to convince non-Palestinians to support the Palestine cause. Having even 6 Palestinians on this table would not have done the job. Your job is to convince non-Palestinians. So actually it's quite good that there are no Palestinians on the panel, because it's not about what is the right strategy for the Palestinian national movement. The question is the international community willing to support pressure on Israel as a legitimate means to change the reality on the ground? Now, if we will succeed in doing that, and the mainstream media, and the mainstream academia, and the mainstream political system in this country and other countries would support this strategy, the BDS would be a success. Not only if the goals on the ground would be achieved, which could not be achieved without the Palestinian national movement strategizing and finding the right way to do it. The second point is about, we were asked about more, I think you called it BDS 201 or 202. I think it's 0.5 BDS what you suggested. The whole, as I tried to explain, the idea of the BDS, of pressure from the outside as a strategy, as a paradigm, stemmed from the failure of the peace process. The peace process was based on the idea of the two-state solution, of shrinking Palestine to 20% of what it was, and shrinking the Palestinian people to 50% of who they are. The BDS is part of a conversation that says all the Palestinians are victims of the policies of Israel. Who exactly can we target against the ethnic cleansing of the Bedouins in the Nakab? The constructor who builds in Hebron? Who exactly can we target against the Israeli law that does not allow Palestinians from both sides of the Green Line to live together as a family? A constructor from Halil? We have to understand that the level of criminality pursued against the Palestinians inside Israel, against the Palestinians in the occupied territories, and against the Palestinians in the refugee camps is the same level of criminality and the same source for this criminality. And this is the conversation we are engaging in. We are not substituting anyone's representation. We are not taking over any issue. We are just trying to have a conversation with you, and through you eventually and hopefully with the people inside, so that the transformation for the benefit of everyone would be there. The BDS is a successful campaign. It may be too early indeed to judge it, but on the other hand, it has to be evaluated and re-evaluated to make it more effective, more successful, more in coordination with anyone who is part of the general human effort to bring justice and peace to Palestine and Israel. Thank you.
I agree with you. I think there should have been a Palestinian on the panel. I actually think the internationalization of the solution is an interesting idea. I think that what's happened or didn't happen in September around the United Nations was a clarion call for Israel. I think it's a prime example of a strategy that outsmarted Israel actually, and I think Israel found itself in a really difficult corner to go and say we reject a call in a multilateral institution because it's unilateral. And I think that it was very smart. I think it made Israel think in a way which the BDS movement doesn't make Israel think. And the reason, and I think that I don't think that what the comment was made about up there about I think what we're saying is a targeted settlement boycott. I don't think that is absolutely the same as the peace process. I think we would be having a very different conversation in this room if the BDS movement was about a targeted boycott. I'm not saying that I necessarily would support it, but I think that the entire debate would be different, because I think that the position we would be in is a position which does not put people on the defensive, because it recognises the legitimate right of the other side to exist. And I think the fact that the level of criminality that exists inside the Green Line, over the Green Line, is not distinguished, as the comment has just been made, is exactly the reason the BDS movement does not succeed and will not succeed in any more occupation. It does not acknowledge in any way, shape or form that there are two parties in the conflict. And I agree that one party has a much bigger level of responsibility and is in a much better position to change the stalemate and to change the status quo. But there is agency on both sides, and I think that this conversation doesn't recognise that.
Maybe about a minute left for
Okay.
both.
Very quickly, specific settlement boycott. I think it would be extremely ineffective because the settlement economy is very much, most of it is very integrated into the main Israeli economy. Most of the settlers commute to work. The whole settlement project was about building a network of satellite communities within the occupied territories to allow Israel to feel like they're living on the Israeli side. And also, I think it's morally flawed in a sense to boycott, say, a small grocery producer who is producing on illegally occupied Palestinian land, but to let corporations run by veterans of the IDF and the Shin Bet alone. Is it too early to judge?